Hello and welcome to this week's English. So firstly, we are going to be continuing with our Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book written by Roald Dahl. We're going to be looking this week at some of the characters in the story, and we're going to be looking at some of the rooms in the factory. So the winners of the golden tickets are invited into the factory, and as they go on a tour around the factory, they come across a room, and it's a room that could almost be described as being designed for them. It might reflect their character, their likes, their family, and usually something bad happens in the room. But we're going to take that, we're going to leave that till later in the week. You will need a piece of paper, or if you're using a exercise book, you will need that with you today, because we're going to do it bit by bit. We're going to do a part at a time. We're going to stop the video and then do the next part. Now, I'm having trouble showing. Let's see if I can get it. Okay, so what I've done is I've got a piece of paper and I've split it up into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so then there's 4 parts with character at the top there and 4 parts with room. Okay, so pause the video. Get your paper ready, because you will need it for the rest of today's lesson. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to look at a character at a time. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to read the introduction of the character from the story. Okay, so we meet Augustus Gloop first. The finder was a boy called Augustus Gloop. The picture showed a 9-year-old boy who was so enormously fat, he looked as though he'd been blown up with a powerful pump. Great flabby folds of fat bulged out of every part of his body, and his face was like a monstrous ball of dough, with 2 small, greedy, curranty eyes peering out upon the world. Then goes on, and then we meet his mum. I just knew Augustus would find the golden ticket, his mother had told the newspaperman. He eats so many bars of chocolate a day that it was almost impossible for him not to find one. Eating is his hobby, you know. That's all he's interested in. But still, it's better than being a hooligan. And it said, he wouldn't go on eating like that unless he needed nourishment, wouldn't he? It's all the vitamins anyway. What a thrill for him to visit Mr. Wonka's marvellous factory. So that's our first character. I'm going to have trouble showing you. There you are. Oh no, it doesn't like seeing you today. So he's an enormous boy, he's described as. What are his character traits? So I want you to think about, what does he look like? What's his character traits? What does he like doing? Pause the video, write that in your first section here for Augustus Gloop. What is his character like? What does he look like? How does he behave? Pause. Okay. Did you put some things like greedy? Did you say fat? How did the book describe him? Curranty eyes, didn't he? So I wonder what else you popped down. I'm sure you put down loads of things, and I do miss having the interaction with you talking back. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the room that perhaps is designed for Augustus. Now you've seen this room already, but let's have a little look. Right, I'm going to share my screen. Augustus Gloop. Okay, so let's have a watch.
Hey, little boy, my chocolate must be untouched by human hands. You're wrong.
Okay, so now we have met that room already because we've actually had a look at it. And it's the first room they come into. So can you remember? Go through the tiny door, open it up, and there's a huge waterfall of chocolate, and beneath their feet the grass is made of sweets. It's edible. There's edible toffee apples hanging from the trees, giant pumpkins filled with marshmallow and jam. There's that huge chocolate river running all the way through it. Now, why do you think that room is designed for Augustus? Think about his personality traits. What's he like? Yeah, you're right, he's greedy. So for him to have a room where everything is edible almost makes him worse. He is there eating and eating and eating the chocolate. Okay, so the next thing I'd like to do is to think back to that room, think back to that, the green grass, the trees. You've had a think about this room before. Have a think about Augustus's room. And in this box here, so you've got your character room, write down a few things that are in that room. So he has an enormous room, chocolate river, edible grass. Okay, stop the video and have a go. Okay, let's have a look at the next character. So the next character that we meet in the book is Veruca. Let's have a look. The lucky person was a small girl called Veruca Salt, who lived with her rich parents in a great city far away. Veruca's father, Mr. Salt, had eagerly explained to the newspaper men exactly how the ticket was found. "You see, boys," he said, "as soon as my little girl told me she simply had to have one of those golden tickets, I went into the town and started buying up all of the Wonka bars I could lay my hands on. Thousands of them I must have bought, hundreds of thousands. Then I had them loaded onto trucks and sent directly to my own factory. I'm in the peanut business, you see, and I've got 100 women working for me all over the place, shelling peanuts for roasting and salting. That's what I do all day long, those women. They sit shelling peanuts. Now I say to them, okay, girls, from now on, you can stop shelling peanuts and start shelling the wrappers off these chocolate bars instead." And they did. I had every worker in the place yanking the paper off those bars, chocolate full speed ahead from morning till night. But 3 days went by and we had no luck. Oh, it was terrible. My little Veruca got more and more upset, and every day I went home, she would scream at me, "Where's my golden ticket? I want my golden ticket!" And she would lie for hours on the floor, kicking and yelling in the most disturbing way. Well, I just hated seeing my little girl feeling unhappy like that, so I vowed to keep up the search until I got her what she wanted. Then suddenly, on the evening of the 4th day, one of my women workers yelled, "I've got it! I've a golden ticket!" And I said, "Give it to me quick!" And she did, and I rushed it home and gave it to my darling Veruca. And now she's all smiles and we have a happy home once again. So, what is Veruca like? Have a little think and have a little, you're going to be writing it down in the next section. So, you might need to think about you haven't got an impression of what she looks like yet, but what about her character? What do you think her character is like? Okay. So, did you write down that she was spoilt? Did you write down that she was rich? That she got everything that she wanted? So she's spoilt and rich. Quite manipulative, isn't she? "Get me that!" And she shouts and her dad responds. Okay, let's have a look at the room that they go into that is sort of her room. Have a little think about, why do you think this room has been designed for her? And also it will give you a chance to see what she looks like so that you can describe it. So I'm going to share. Oh, I need to go back out of that one. Oh, Mrs. Rudkin. You see, this is not as easy. Oh, no. There we go. I've got it sorted. Here we go. So we're going to look at Veruca Salt. Okay, so have a look at the room.
Get me one of those squirrels. I want one.
Look at it, you have many marvelous things.
All I've got at home is one pony and 2 dogs and 4 cats and 6 bunny rabbits and 2 parakeets and 2 canaries and a green parrot and a turtle and a silly old hamster. I want a squirrel.
All right. Then you'll get your squirrel as soon as you possible.
And I don't want any old squirrel. I want a trained squirrel.
Very well. Miss Walker, how much do you want for one of these squirrels? Name your price. I do not perceive. She can't help her.
Okay, just stopping it just quickly, because in our section that has the character, we hadn't got any implication of what she really looked like from the book. So it would be a good idea to actually write down a little bit of what she looks like. So think about what are her eyes like? What about her hair? What is she wearing? How does she speak? Pause and have a little fill-in of that character section. Okay, did you get that her wide blue eyes? Did you get her rosy pink lips? What about her brown curly hair held up with clips? Did you describe her soft white fur jacket? Did you describe her voice? She's quite abrupt. She's demanding. Wonder what you wrote down. Let's continue with her room and let's think about what it looks like.
Daddy.
I'm sorry, darling. Mr. Walker's being unreasonable.
If you don't get me a squirrel, I'll get one myself.
Don't catch that squirrel's nuts. You'll make him crazy.
I'll have you. What are they doing?
You're just as busy as you can. Gina's family. don't really like you Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
Well, there's always the chance they decided not to like you.
Okay, so right, so we have got that next room. You might want to go back and actually watch it again. What did the room look like? What was in the room? There was lots of stools, wasn't there, all around. There was lots of squirrels. I wonder if you've got the connection between why the room has got the squirrels with the nuts. So, yes, it's to do with the fact that her dad has the peanut factory. So it's a connection with that. What does the room look like? What colours are used in the room? What's the floor like? What's in the centre of that floor? Where does it lead? Okay. So you might want to go back and watch that again. And you're going to then fill in the second section for Veruca, her room, just jotting down what does it look like. Okay. Let's meet the third character. So the third character that we meet is Violet Beauregard. Okay. The third ticket was found by Miss Violet Beauregard. The famous girl was standing on a chair in the living room, waving the golden ticket madly at arm's length as though she was flagging a taxi. And she was talking very fast and very loudly to everyone. And it was not easy to hear because she was chewing so ferociously upon a piece of gum at the same time. "I'm a gum chewer normally," she shouted, "but when I heard about these tickets at Mr. Wonka's, I gave him my gum, started on chewing bars, and now the hope of striking me lucky. Now, of course, I'm back on the gum. I just adore gum. I can't do without it. I munch it all day long, except for a few minutes at mealtimes when I take it out and stick it behind my ear for safekeeping. I tell you the truth, I wouldn't simply feel comfortable if I didn't have a little wedge of gum to chew on every moment of the day. I wouldn't. My mother says it's not ladylike. And it looks ugly to see a girl's jaws going up and down like mine do all the time, but I don't agree. And who's she to criticise? Anyway, because if you ask me, I'd say her jaws going up and down all the time as much as mine are from yelling at me every minute of the day." So, carries on. "It may interest you to know that the piece of gum I'm chewing on right now is the one I've been working on for over 3 months solid. That's a record, that is. It's beaten the previous record held by my best friend, Miss Cornelia Princemetal, and she was furious. It's my most treasured possession now, this piece of gum is, and at night time I stick it at the end of the bedpost, and it's as good as new as ever in the morning, and if I bit it hard at first, maybe, but soon it softens up after I've been giving it a few more chews. Before I started chewing for the world record, I used to change my piece of gum once a day. I used to do it in a lift on our way home from school. Why the lift? Because I liked sticking the gooey piece that I just finished on one of the control buttons. Then the next person who came along and pressed the finger got my old gum on the end of his or her finger. And what a racket they kicked up. Some of them, you get the best result with the women who have expensive gloves on. Oh yes, I'm thrilled to be going to Mr. Wonka's factory, and I understand that afterwards he's going to give me a whole lot of gum to last me the rest of my life. Whoopee hooray!" Now, Grandma Josephine describes her as a beastly girl, and she does sound rather rude, doesn't she? Now, you have already met her in a clip, but what we're going to do is do the same as we did with the last clip. I'm going to start the clip, we're going to stop it, describe what she looks like, and describe her personality as well from the extract. So, I'm going to share it again. Okay, so we are now on Violet Beauregard.
why? This comes as a full three-course dinner all by itself. Why would anyone want that? It will be the end of all kitchens and all cooking. Just a little strip of Wonka's magic chewing gum, and that is all you will ever need at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This fantastic mix is very sour, sweet.
It sounds weird. Sounds like nighttime stuff.
I'd rather be the next one or two.
I'm the world record holder. I'm not afraid of anything. It's amazing. Space too. I can feel it moving down my throat.
Spit it out. Babe.
Okay, so just to remind you, what does she look like? So let's just pause it for a bit, pause the film, not me, and we're going to go on to that third section down there. So we've got Violet. What does she look like? What is her character? Can you remember what she was like to Charlie? She was quite rude, wasn't she? So think about her character traits. So she was a little bit rude. She talks quickly. What does she look like? Describe her hair. The fact that she's always chewing. Describe what she's wearing. Pause and fill in the character section for Violet. Okay then, so we're back to Violet's room. Now we know what happens to Violet, so I'm going to actually go back to the beginning of this clip and I want you to pay attention to the room. Okay, so you're going to be just thinking about how you would describe the room to someone who's never seen it. What is in it? What colours are there? What materials are things made from? Okay.
Plastic.
Okay, I'm going to pause it just there because this is the image that I'd like you to use. Okay, so this is the image I'd like you to use for your for you to describe the room. So we have got what have we got? Pipes. A giant sphere, isn't it? It's a sphere, a clear sphere. We had levers with giant knobs on them that were all different colours. We've got a machine that is whirring and steam. Huge pipes, silver cylindrical pipes going all around. It's a very dark room, isn't it? Pause the video and write down everything that you saw and can see in the clip. Okay, moving on to the last character. Let's meet him in the book first. The TV household, said Mr. Bucket, going on with his reading, was crammed with like the others with excited visitors when our reporter arrived. But the young Mike TV, the lucky winner, seemed extremely annoyed by the whole business. Can't you fools see I'm watching television? He said angrily. I wish you wouldn't interrupt. The 9-year-old boy was seated before an enormous television set with his eyes glued to the screen. And he was watching a film in which one bunch of gangsters was shooting up another bunch of gangsters with machine guns. Mike TV himself had no less than 18 toy pistols of various sizes hanging from belts around his body, and every now and again he would leap up into the air and fire off half a dozen rounds from one or other of these weapons. Quiet! he shouted when someone tried to ask him a question. Didn't I tell you not to interrupt? This show's an absolute whiz-banger. It's terrific. I watch it every day. I watch every one of them every day, even the rotten ones where there's no shooting. I like gangsters best. They're terrific. Especially when they start pumping each other full of lead or flashing the old letters or giving each other 1, 2, 3 with their knuckle dusters. Gosh! Oh, it's quite enough, said Grandma Josephine. I can't bear to listen to it. Nor me. Do all children behave like this nowadays? Do these brats we've been talking about? So, he again, it's a bit of a theme, isn't it? It's quite rude. So, let's have a look at the last one. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm having trouble with my clip. Right, okay. There we go. So we're going to do the same thing as we've done before. We're going to meet the character. I'm going to pause it so that you've got a chance to write down what he looks like and how he behaves. And then we will have a little look at the room. Okay, that's the most important thing. It's about the room, not necessarily what happens to them. Okay.
Little boy, push my button.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there just so that you can describe Mike TV. Now, the film adaptation is a little bit different from the book. In the book, he's described as having a lot of toy guns, and that is because he watches a lot of violent TV. In the film, they've decided not to have him with the guns. So you can choose to either use the book description or the film description when you're describing our last character. So in this bottom section here, our last character is Mike. Describe what he looks like. Hair? What's he wearing on his eyes? What's he wearing on his body? How does he behave? We've already met him. We know that he's rude and angry. Grandma Josephine describes him as a brat, that he's spoilt and controlling. He has very little regard for anyone. He's there pushing the Oompa Loompas out of the way. Write down all these things you can think about describing his character and what he looks like in that first section. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to look at the last bit, which is Mike's room. Again, we're going to have, I'm going to just whiz it back to the beginning so that we can really look at the room, because I know that I was very distracted by looking at Mike, looking at what he was wearing. So let's go back to the beginning and we're going to look at what is the room like.
Little boy, push my button.
So what shape is that room? It's a dome, isn't it? It's a dome shape. What colour is the room? What's in the middle of that room? It's a giant cylindrical platform, isn't it? With a transparent tube on top. Look at the lighting hanging from the ceiling. Hanging from the ceiling, the lighting with those round spotlights. On the other side, did you see the steps? And the circular TV? Write down everything that you could see. Pause it now. Okay, let's carry on and let's watch what happens. Okay, that gives us a little bit more. What else can you see in this room? Can you see the Oompa Loompas in their reclining chairs? Can you see these giant, oh, what do you think those are? And there's an Oompa Loompa operating it. It's almost like a giant camera, isn't it? A sort of a light, a circular light, and a circular light here. Love these curved stairs. Okay, and on the other side here, we've got these more stairs and we've got this circular television. Okay. So, hopefully that worked okay as a lesson. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to get you to think about the characters, describing that each character has a personality, and they also you have an appearance to describe. And that each of them has a room that connects to that personality. Here's the last thing. I'm going to give you a heads up on tomorrow's lesson. Tomorrow, you're going to be designing a character. So have a little think about what sort of character you might choose. I'm going to be giving you lots of help in the lesson tomorrow. So don't worry, I just thought it'd be nice for you to have a little think overnight. See you tomorrow.